The last thing you think about at age 42 is a massive heart attack.
I think life at the lake is time that we do get with our boys and with our family.
We just love getting out of the city on weekends. We wanted our children to grow up at the lake and have that lake experience and fall in love with the lake, so that gives them a place to come back to where they grew up and enjoyed all those memories.
Chittick Lake is home away from home.
I remember getting a call for a male that was having a heart attack up at a lake in northern Saskatchewan.
The first thing that goes through your mind is how young he was. It's not common for somebody of that age to have a heart attack.
Labor Day weekend is the weekend that, summer comes to an end, and that's the weekend everybody takes the docks and lifts out of the water. And that's when it hit me.
My neighbor was yelling at me to come outside, so I came outside and she just said that I needed to get to the dock.
I felt this immense pain in my chest and collapsed. It felt much like, your chest had been ripped open and an elephant is sitting on it. You're struggling to breathe.
And my cousin that was down there with me just grabbed my shoulders and just said I needed to be strong.
I had so much to live for. I think that scared me was the idea that the kids, could possibly grow up without a father.
STARS was called that day because the paramedics felt that this patient needed rapid transport to Royal University Hospital in Saskatoon, and STARS was the fastest mode of transport.
With a heart attack, time is everything. If Spiritwood EMS would have driven him to the tertiary care center, it would have added at least 2 hours of time before he'd arrived, and he didn't have that time.
I think he knew at that moment something was happening, so he just wanted me to say bye to the boys and how much he loved us. And I told him everything was going to be fine.
We landed at the Saskatchewan Highways parking lot, and the ambulance was pulled over on the side of the road there.
We asked the pilots to leave the helicopter running because time was of the essence.
When we got to that rendezvous site and I heard that helicopter, I had a sense of relief that came over me. When I heard it land, I thought, I got a chance.
It was my turn to kind of be there for him and to be strong for him.
I told my wife I love her. And I told her to tell the kids how proud I was of them. That I'd love them forever.
He opened the ambulance doors.
And then we assessed Wade, and I noticed Wade's eyes starting to roll back.
Wade went into ventricular fibrillation. What that means is there's complete chaos of your electrical conduction of your heart.
So without a shock to the heart, Wade's heart would die.
All I could see was my wife and children standing there smiling. And it was, the most calming feeling I've ever had.
So after I had shocked Wade, we had return of circulation. Wade's eyes started to open. He started to come to.
And the next thing I know, I'm looking up at Crystal.
And I remember saying, "Welcome back, Wade."
The door opens and Crystal just came and talked to me and just said it wasn't good. He had just had a cardiac arrest, major cardiac arrest, and they had to go.
I called Thea and I let her know that Wade was okay and that we had gotten to the hospital and that he hadn't gone back into a cardiac arrest. And then I wanted her to talk to Wade and I wanted her to hear his voice just so that she could have a bit of relief as she drove to Saskatoon.
I remember that moment. It was scary. I didn't know what to expect on the other end. But it was Crystal's voice. And saying, "Do you want to speak to Wade?" And it was like, I felt like I could breathe again.
Not only do I owe my life to Stars, I owe it to the people that work for Stars, the people that support Stars. You know, it is something that is so precious to our province.
Donating to Stars is a way to support families like ours and to have more memories with their families.
We come up here as often as we can. And having a service like Stars, you know, I'll forever be indebted to. Because if it wasn't for Stars, I wouldn't be back here today telling this story.